iPhone 15 Pro Max in 2025, why it's still worth buying. This might be one of the best values from the Apple side that you can get at least secondhand or in different areas. You can't buy it officially, but you can definitely still pick one up and it's going to be a great deal. And let's discuss why. So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and we'll begin with the very first one, and that's going to be the design and the build. So we still get a titanium build here with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and it's actually lighter and sleeker than the iPhone 16 Pro Max in terms of just kind of like the way it feels in the hand. It's just a little bit smaller. It's definitely a 6.7 versus a 6.9, and it's just easier, more comfortable to hold. It actually feels more like the iPhone 16 Plus, but you get the max benefits like the ProMotion display, the triple camera, and more. So definitely a really, really good option here to buy secondhand. So if we go ahead and take a look here, let's go take a look at eBay here and see what they're going for. So if we go to eBay, and we just type in iPhone 15 Pro Max, and I'm not saying to buy it here, I'm just saying this is kind of a good way to see what people are generally selling these things for. You can get it at under the price of an iPhone 16 Plus. So 100% this is a better deal in terms of what you're getting for that price tag. We all know the 15 Pro Max is the higher spec phone basically in most areas than a 16 Plus. Of course, we don't have the A18 chip. We don't have some of the features that the 16 Plus gives us, but man, compared to what this costs new, you're getting a steal on the 15 Pro Max. $749 right there, $769. I mean, this is a really solid value here in spring 2025, and you still get that nice high-end feel as well. This one also competes very well with current flagships. I mean, you hold this up next to a current flagship. I don't care whether it's a Samsung. I don't care whether it's a new iPhone. It's a great build. It just feels very nice in the hand. It looks great. So overall, I just think it holds up substantially well right now. We also do have USB-C, which was a first here for the iPhones on this product right here. In addition to that, you are getting Apple Intelligence because this phone does have 8 gigabytes of RAM. And you also really get pretty good speed with the A17 Pro. So performance-wise, it competes well with those devices as well. It does have a pretty big dynamic island, but at least it's useful with the Face ID up in there, and it does have usable features like which were launched on the iPhone 14 Pro Max. But another area this phone is pretty good here still is battery life. I never really had an issue getting through the day with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. It was a pretty good performer. It got through the entire day and then some. I will say though that it's nowhere near the 16 Pro Max and it could be better. So it's definitely not the best, but this is an all-day phone. That's how I always felt about it. You know, I definitely didn't make it 1.5 like I am with the 1.5 days like I am with the 16 Pro Max, but it's definitely battery life that you can count on for sure day to day with the 15 Pro Max. So I do think it's still worth a purchase here if you were looking for a yesteryear phone at a discounted price, but you don't want a base iPhone. This is definitely a solid option here in the iPhone 15 Pro Max, even now. Kind of like what I was talking about with the S24 Ultra being one of the best values you can get. Last year's flagships tend to hold up as one of the better values, usually because you're getting most of what just came out because they're not upgrading them substantially year over year, but you're not having to pay the substantial price tags. And right now, I think that's a really good option. Now, the next thing is that display is still top tier. It's a ProMotion display, which means you get very smooth and fast speeds, but at the same time, you also do get very nice quality. So it does give you a really good saturation. It does give you pretty thin bezels, and these actually were thinner than your average smartphone bezel, so pretty darn thin here, and it also feels comfortable in the hand. And I just like the sleek feel of this phone. Like, it just feels thinner and lighter than the 16 Pro Max, but also still big enough. So it's a good balance. Some people think the 6.7 is the sweet spot. Some people think it's 6.3 is. Some say 6.1. I think it comes down to preference, but from a pure quality perspective, you are getting a bright display, a very sharp display. So there's nothing really to complain about in this area. I think you are definitely winning. I will say though that if you want a more vibrant or anti-reflective display, you'll want to look at something like the S24 Ultra from last year if you're looking for a last year phone. But this one here in spring 2025, still a fantastic panel. And you can see as I just kind of navigate through the software, everything is very smooth and very fast, which is something that you're used to from iPhone. But before, like way back in the day, the phones would slow down a little bit with their 2 gigabytes of RAM. I think this one will hold up a lot longer just simply because it's an 8 gigabyte of RAM phone. So this wouldn't be a bad purchase if you plan to keep it a very long time. Now, the camera is way more than enough for most people on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. We have 5 times optical zoom right there. You can also zoom in 25 times. And while you are only on the 12 megapixel for the ultra wide camera, this camera is still amazing. You can go 24, 28, and then you can go 35 millimeter. You can also do cinematic video. You don't get the 4K 120 on slow motion, but that's not the end of the world. I feel like for most people, you still get the majority of what the iPhone offers, including things like spatial modes and panoramic. Now, the front-facing camera has been holding at 12 megapixels for many, many years, so this one is going to be no different. But if you're looking for a selfie photo and you want the highest quality, I'm sure you're going to get maybe a little bit better on some other options, but definitely this one will still get the job done for the majority of folks. So I do think it's a great, great camera system. If we go here into settings and we scroll down over here into camera, let's take a look here. You can record up to 4K 60. You do have action mode with lower light, HDR video. We also do have the ability to lock camera, but if we scroll down to format, you can change the capture modes between 24 and 12 megapixels, which is pretty neat. Also ProRes, Apple ProRes, HDR video. So, I mean, this thing has the works here when it comes to the camera. So you're not going to be itching for too much when it comes to camera. As a matter of fact, you might actually not even use some of these features throughout your duration of user or ownership unless you really need some of those pro features. So camera is generally well loaded on here. Now, when it comes to iOS updates, it already got one major OS update, which was to iOS 18. So one is down. There's going to be several more to go, though. You can customize and tint these icons and stuff of that sort. But I think we're going to see a massive change this year to iOS, and this 15 Pro Max is going to support it. The 15 Pro Max is probably the best used iPhone in the Mac space to buy because you can get everything from what Apple is going to be offering going forward, starting with the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. So this might be the best value large iPhone you can buy for 2025 so far in terms of like a cheaper price, with the most you can get for a cheaper price. Of course, again, you have to look for a mint condition or a good condition version, or maybe a renewed or something that was just made correctly, or well taken care of. So, or, refurbed properly to get a really good price, or even somebody who just kept it in great condition, only has some cycles and just selling it off used. But you can definitely get these at a decent price as long as you know where to look. So that's a pretty good thing. I also think that this phone definitely feels like you're getting 90% of the 16 Pro Max without having to pay the 16 Pro Max price, which is quite good. I don't know if you're going to get yourself the original box, but in the box, I took things out, but it did come with just a cable and some warranty guides. There is no SIM card on here, so this is eSIM only. In addition, this phone does have no charger in the box, so you're going to have to buy the charger brick itself for this product if you don't have one already. And this phone doesn't have better signal strength and 5G performance as the new 16 Pro Max, but it's still very good. Like, it's not like that noticeably behind, but it's just a little bit. Other than that, though, I don't really have many complaints about this phone. It's smooth, it's fast, it feels good in the hand, it still looks premium, and it doesn't even look like it aged an ounce. It really doesn't. There's just a new phone. That's all that changed. It doesn't mean this one feels old or anything like that, because it definitely does not. So my final thoughts is you're getting yourself a powerhouse for the price of an iPhone 16 Plus from this year. So basically what you're getting yourself is a great deal Let's put it that way. So this is what you can buy for around the price of this. And some people say that this is like a watered down 15 Pro Max, but you can see they have like the same size. They weigh almost the same. Okay, the 16 Plus is lighter, but 16 Plus has 60 hertz and some downfalls. So overall, 15 Pro Max 100% is still worth buying here in 2025, spring 2025. I think it's a great deal right now. If you wait a little bit longer till the 17 Pro Max comes out, this will actually become a bit cheaper. But let me know if you're searching out to pick up an iPhone 15 Pro Max. If this video helped you out, thumbs up down below. But share some thoughts if you have some questions, comments, concerns, and you're still on the hunt for a used iPhone that's cheaper, or maybe even a cheaper iPhone. You're a little bit confused and you have some questions, drop those in the comments. We'll be glad to help you out. So thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you haven't already. Nick here, and I will catch you all in the very next episode. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to be well, and peace.